Well, guys, we're here every week because we have stuff to do, things to accomplish, hurdles to overcome. So that's why you're here. What questions do you have? Things that have been difficult, scratching your brain about. You want to get feedback from other coaches, other clients as well. What has been going on this week? What questions do you have this morning? Go ahead and raise your hand or put it in the chat. We'll take them all.
Jeff.
Mr. Jeff, go for it, sir.
Just Bryce, this is something you and I talked about. I think Alex was there. Last coaching call. I'm still tweaking, revising, hopefully improving our sales process. And I'm the sole salesperson, so it's really me at this stage. But just, I don't know. I guess my question would be to any of you guys out there, like, how do you overcome? Because I struggle with like seeming like a pest or annoyance to potential clients when I go out, do a job walk, come back, put an estimate together, email it to them, and then follow up with a text saying, "Hey, sent you an estimate. Let me know what you think." That's and then I follow up within a day or two, but that's really about it. And Bryce, I know you said you need to present that estimate in real time, whether it's virtual, in person, go back to the potential client's house, phone call, one of those. I don't know. I struggle with it. I like I said, I just don't like I feel like a pest, and that's maybe just my personality or I don't know. So I'm just kind of curious how you guys that actually are maybe have a good sales process overcome things like that.
Great question, Jeff. Yeah, it's definitely a mentality thing. I think this is a beautiful opportunity to ask that in this kind of setting. Mr. Phillip, I don't know if you meant to or not, but I saw your hand go up for a minute there. Did you have feedback on this?
I was just going to mention that same thing he already mentioned. I had the same issue before, and then Nicole told me to start doing them in person or Google Meet, and now you kind of get more of a direct answer right away. If not, you're setting up a meeting, following up, in a couple of days or at least in a week, whenever works best for them. And that way you kind of get more of a direct answer. Before, I had the issue constantly. You go out there, you meet with them, you send them an estimate, and it's ghost town. It's nothing to be heard, and you're like, what the heck? In like 2 weeks. I mean, I still have the problem here and there, but not nearly as much as what I used to. So and honestly, it's actually feel like it's been I do a Google call because I don't like to drive out an extra hour back out that way. So I do a Google call, and I feel like it helps me present my estimate a lot better now because I can show them the product I'm going to give them, go over everything, and I feel like it builds a little bit more credibility than what other guys are.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Yes, please, Jordan.
Yeah. So we noticed a huge increase in closure rates on the bigger projects when we started doing them in person or by video call. I probably actually did more video call, like a Google Meet with customers, than I actually did in person. And I liked that because it was a lot easier to present and let them actually look at what I'm talking them through. And one of the things I was going to add is that, they're hiring you because you're a professional. And so if you're just emailing them a quote, there's probably a lot of things they're not going to understand, where if you set up that meeting, you're able to work through that, explain things better, handle any objections, or make edits on the fly if you need to, if you've already done the work of your quote. And then secondly, confidence in your pricing is going to be huge, because from a customer standpoint, if you aren't feeling that confidence, that's going to present to your customer too. They're going to smell that. They may not know what it is, though. They may not know that it's, you're struggling with the emotion of your pricing. They may interpret that as maybe you're not the right person for the job, or you don't have confidence in doing the job. So not cockiness, but confidence in your pricing. And then, getting that in person or at minimum by video is going to be, I believe it will be a game changer for you.
Yep. Yeah, that's good feedback. and I know you meet with me, Jeff, but I'll also add this into the only time, if you're doing the proper work of setting the expectation of when the next interaction is going to be every time you're having one, then it's always just a predetermined, we're going to talk again on this date. So the only time that people really get that daily hit up is whenever they've missed their meeting or if they're just non-responsive. In which case, one, it doesn't take a ton of your time because you know more than likely it's going to voicemail. Two, you are going to get to the end of those 10 days and know with confidence, all right, we've reached out. They have given us 0 response for 2 business days. I'm not going to waste my time on this. And actually, I wasted less time just giving that 30 seconds for the ringtone to hit every day for 2 weeks. And I know with confidence that it's in their court now and they can know that too. But third, yeah, it's just whenever they're non-responsive that they're getting that daily hit. If they're not setting something up, and the goal is either always to get their decision whenever you do connect with them is, hey, what questions do you have? Not do you have any questions, but what questions do you have? So you can work through and address them. Or if they still have like, hey, I want some more time. Hey, that's fine. You know, talk to your spouse, whatever you need. Today's Thursday. Let me give you a call on Monday. Is it better in the morning or the afternoon? Again, falling back on those default, giving them a set time of interaction. So if someone tells you, call me in 2 weeks, awesome. We love that. We can put that in our calendar, call them 2 weeks later. If they say, I'll call you, we don't want to do that. We don't want to leave that in their court. We'll even just put it on our side of, we'll put it in my calendar to follow up with you here. So I'll reach out to you then if I haven't heard from you before. And then there's that expectation. And if they miss that, they don't answer, whatever, then they get that daily follow-up. But the last thing that you heard, and Robert said this really well last week, the last thing that you heard from them was, we need your help. We need your help. We're looking for, you to help our services. So of course, that's the last thing that you know and that you're operating on under. So as soon as they say, golly, you've been calling me every day. Well, hey, yeah, sorry. The last thing I heard from you was that you wanted us to help. That's why we're reaching out. We're the professional. So enough said.
That's really well said, Bryce. I like the shaved beard, by the way. That kind of threw me for a loop.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Didn't recognize who was talking. Who is this guy?
Yeah, but now you got a nice scruff going. That's good. That's good. I like it. It's good. Jeff, so if I can just, it sounds like we're almost talking about 2 issues that are closely related. And I just want to be sure I'm understanding right. The first issue, it seemed like, was about follow-up. Hey, I don't want to be annoying to people, right? Second issue was about the reviewing proposals for video calls. So for the first issue, I'm worried about being annoying. So I think this is, is anyone else worried about this? Can you be honest? Like, does anyone else have a hard time calling leads twice a day that you haven't reached actually in your sales pipeline? Yes. Like I know that everyone's hand should be raised. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Scott. Yes. Fletcher, Jordan. Okay. So like, this isn't, I asked that because I just want to first of all let you know, Jeff, that this isn't like a you thing, right? This is just like a human thing. It's a human thing because we are it's so hardwired into us to like into our DNA to desire connection and to be so afraid of rejection. If you look at, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but if you look at humanity's development from a very early period, it's like the rejection of the community, rejection of the tribe meant that you were probably not going to survive in the world anymore. So it's like hardwired into us to be resistant towards rejection. It's not a you thing. It's not abnormal, right? So that's the first thing that I want to recognize. But Jeff, has anyone ever told you that you're being annoying?
Besides my family, or my kids?
No, them included.
So.
Have they said that?
Not Maybe
No,
not
I'm
in
just
those
kidding.
exact words, but
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That's what I thought. I like they're not even really saying it. Okay. So that's the first thing, dude, is we tell ourselves narratives. We tell ourselves stories that just have no correspondence with reality. And those stories shape the way we act. Those stories, those narratives we buy into, that's what decides what we do and don't do. And those stories aren't always serving the best results for our business, right? So the first thing is take a 30,000 foot view and just look at what it is. No one is calling you annoying. Like that hasn't happened to you ever. So the likelihood of that happening in the future is low. But what happens if someone did call you annoying? Oh my God. Oh my God. A lead you've never talked to finally picked up after the 8th attempt. And then they said, stop annoying me. Oh my God, Jeff, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like I say that humorously because it's like not that big of a deal. But the data is so clear about how that is so important, right? Just to give you some of the data, we talked about this a little bit last week, right? 60% of customers say no 4 times before finally accepting a sales offer. 80% of salespeople typically require an average of 5 follow-up phone calls. 80%. That's a vast majority. 5 follow-up phone call after the first a meeting. A staggering 48% of sales teams never follow up, and only 2% sales only has a 2% success rate after a single contact. Dude, that's not a bet I'm going to make. I'm not 98% chance that this person isn't going to reach out to me, back out to me with 1 attempt. That's pretty close to 100. So it's like, okay, let's recognize that this isn't an issue, right? This isn't like an actual problem. People aren't telling you you're annoying. We take a 30,000 foot view, and even if people did, okay, right? Like worst case scenario, like Bryce just said, seriously, the only thing that you can assume is that this person wants you to contact them. And if you're going to make assumptions such as like, well, maybe they're really busy during the day when I call and they just aren't available. Like that's true for me a lot of times. Like once, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. gets going, I'm going to be pretty booked until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock that evening, right? Typically, there's going to be stuff coming in, people coming in my office, whatever, right? So maybe it's just they can't answer the phone. Maybe it's they're on vacation for the first 5 days, that you're trying to call them. Nicole's on vacation last week. She was not on her phone, right? If she would have, signed up for a contractor before she left on vacation, she would have been ignoring that call. And then if the contractor stopped following up, Nicole might have forgotten and just chose another contractor. You know what I mean? And so if you're going to make assumptions on the other side, right? Make assumptions that there's something going on. Maybe they're just ignoring the call because they get a lot of spam, right? And then the last thing, I don't think we've ever shared these, guys. I don't know if our coaches have heard these, but I want to talk about some stats on video calls or reviewing the versus sending a proposal blind. So this comes from a company called Gong Labs, which I'm not super familiar with this company, but apparently they've analyzed millions of sales interactions, and here's what they found. Deals are 127% more likely to close when video is used during any point in the sales process. Win rates are 94% higher for deals where sales professionals sell with video on to actually have your camera on. So that's just a stat about having your camera on versus off. And when a buyer's webcam is also turned on, which something that I think is good to just get used to is saying something like, hey, do you mind turning that camera on if they have their camera off? I just like seeing who I'm talking to. Like that's what I tell people. I tell them, hey, are you going to have your camera on or off? Because if you're going to have yours off, I'm going to turn mine off because I don't want to be looking at myself the whole time when I'm talking on video. You know what I mean? Because that's what we end up doing. Maybe just me. But anyway, when a buyer's webcam is also turned on, win rates increase by an additional 96%. Can you believe that? I can't believe it. Deals are 127% more likely to close whenever you do some sort of video proposal review or in-person proposal review. So that's what we're after here at the end of the day. At the end of the day, Jeff, you get to decide what's important, what's not important, right? You get to decide what you do want to do, what you don't want to do. If you don't want to make these follow-up calls, if you don't want to do, the video thing, you can decide that. That's okay. Like we're not going to beat you up over this. If you just tell us you want to close more deals, we are going to beat you up over it, though. You know what I mean? If you tell us you want to grow your business, we're going to be like, okay, man, if you really want to grow, here's are the things you have to do, right? And so I would just sum that all up. I would just say, be objective. Don't get caught up in the narrative. If you're going to make assumptions on the side of giving almost yourself the benefit of the doubt. They're not answering my call because I'm annoying them. They're not answering my call because of a million other legitimate reasons, probably. All I know to do is call this person. I want to be diligent in my follow-up. I want to be sure I'm conveniently reaching out to them multiple times to maybe catch them at a better time. And then if we are serious about closing a proposal, especially with the kind of deals that you do, these are big deals, right? If we're serious about closing a proposal, like it is 100 times more likely you're going to close that thing if you're doing a video call. And so, yeah, it's a struggle, dude. It's a struggle. I was meeting with Bird's Eye View yesterday, and they're running a Dream 100, right? And we talked about this for a little bit is, like one of the owners wasn't wanting to be annoying either when he's making these calls. And I get that, man. I told him, like, I started my career before even Redmond Growth. I was doing headhunting and recruiting, and we'd make just cold calls every day. I'd call people at work, asking on their work phone number, asking them if they wanted to talk about another job. And then when we started Redmond Growth, we were making cold calls, tons of cold calls. Nicole did it, Bryce did it, like everyone did it, right? Tons of cold calls. And after years of doing cold calls, if I have to make another cold call, that's rejection still, like that resistance still creeps in, like even after years of experience. So just, I think it's kind of accept that it's just, you're going to have resistance to it, but the resistance is this illogical thing, right? It's this dated kind of thing. So just overcome the resistance by knowing that, hey, this person and you're not making cold calls. These are people who fill out forms, right? Knowing that this person wants to talk to me, they have a serious need for a construction project. I want to be sure I'm being diligent in my follow-up because I don't want to make the wrong assumptions that they're just being annoyed, right? There's tons of other assumptions that can be made. And then if you're using a video, you just have like a proven much higher likelihood to close.
Yeah, I think multiple things for me, Robert, is change the mind shift, overcoming the whatever it is. Obviously self-reflection and figuring out what is my fear, my concern. So there's some of that. Maybe it is some fear of rejection. Whatever's going on, overcoming it, buying in to that system and process, committing. So it's just a few things I need to buck up and do.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And you don't really overcome the thing by figuring it out. Like figuring out why you're not doing it doesn't really help you. Right. Like I talk about this sometimes, like in AA. So I'm a part of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a big part of my life. I love being a part of it. I'm part of an awesome home group. It's a men's group. It's awesome. But something that we talk about in AA is like finding out why you were an alcoholic. Oh, I had a rough childhood, or my wife left me, or oh, whatever it is. Like it actually doesn't matter. All that matters is like you have this problem and now we have to deal with it, right? And how do we deal with it? We deal with it in AA by taking action. That's what we talk about. It's a program of action. And in that same way, it doesn't matter so much to figure out why we're hesitant or afraid to do certain things in business that we might be hesitant towards. The way we overcome that fear is by taking the right action. And so, yeah, man, I think the other thing I like to say, one of my favorite quotes of all time. I got this Facebook or Instagram or something was advertising, and they advertised the shirt with this quote on it. I've never seen the shirt with this quote on it. I bought the shirt instantly. And it's kind of a scary looking shirt. It looks like it's a shirt of a metal band, right? But it says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And we might not like fear is kind of the strong word, especially as men, we're like hesitant to say, right? Because it's like, we're not afraid of anything, we're guys, right? We'll stand up and fight and do whatever. And all that's probably true, right? But the reality is fear shapes our lives a lot more than we realize. And a lot of times fear is the thing that prevents us from accessing that next level of growth that we're destined for, that we're required to walk through in order to become the kind of person that we need to hit that next level of growth. When I say this quote, I always like using the most famous example where literally this quote was portrayed, which was in Star Wars Episode 5, Episode 2, if you were around in the 70s and 80s. Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. Luke is in the Dagobah system with Yoda, right? And he's being trained to become a Jedi. And Yoda is like, it's nearing the final point of his training, and there's this literal cave that he has to go through, right? And Luke Skywalker goes through the cave, and then as he's going through the cave, he sees Darth Vader in this cave. And then he has to battle Darth Vader. And when he, and Darth Vader isn't actually there, right? It's all just kind of like a vision. And he fights Darth Vader and strikes him down. And then he sees that, Darth Vader's mask pop up and it's his own face. And he ran away from the cave. He didn't want to face the truth, right? But we see in the Return of the Jedi kind of like the guy who's entered the cave, right? The accomplished Luke Skywalker Jedi. And I think I always just like that, fun illustration to remind myself of, hey, those places that I'm afraid to go to, those areas that I'm resistant towards, chances are that's where the growth opportunity is. Chances are that can set my direction to know where I need to go, right? It's almost like the fear is the signal that tells us where to go. And so anyway, I hope that's helpful. But yeah, just try. It's as easy as just trying to do something different today, right? Make a couple calls to your leads that you haven't heard from today. That's it. Send a follow-up text after the second call, send an email. Hey, called you a couple times. You reached out. Would love to connect. I do think it's good to put your scheduling link in the text and in the email. You can do that through CMM. We can set that up for you really easily if you don't know how to do that, as long as you're on like a Google Calendar or something. But just try it today. Take just one small step, build that momentum. And when you take those small steps, build that momentum, you gain that confidence, right? It accelerates. But before you know it, you're booking a lot of deals.
Yeah, very helpful. Appreciate it.
Fletcher, did you have something, or was your hand just raised?
It was a combination of both.
Okay.
It was dealing with this too, Robert. I don't like calling anybody. I'll tell you that right now. I don't like calling anybody for any reason at all. Okay. I just don't. So I have to hack myself up to do
80% of
sales
people.
calls.
Yeah.
I like calling. Yeah. I haven't called my dog. I just whistle. So I don't like calling anybody. But with that said, I do buck up and make the phone calls. My challenge though is because I'm wearing so many hats. The consistency isn't there. I may call a customer, leave a voicemail, do the 5-day follow-up process via automation. And then I look up and go, oh crap, I forgot to call these 3 customers. I forgot to call that customer back because I started working on a project, because I'm also a project manager. I started working on a project and getting materials and doing this and doing that. So my issue is, 1, I don't like calling people, so I naturally avoid it. And 2, I'm so inundated with so many things to do, I'm not actually being productive on my calls. And so right now I'm trying to, cubby squares. I think you all call it something else. I cubby square everything, trying to prioritize. Do I need to keep calling these customers, or do I need to find somebody I feel confident is going to say yes and call that person? I need to nitpick my list. In other words, what I'm saying is, how do I become more effective at making these calls if I don't have the time to constantly make them? And if the answer is you got to make the time to constantly make the calls, then I'm listening to that too. So let me mute because I got stuff in my background.
Yeah, so really, really good issue. So this is a pretty common issue as well, right? So the issue is like, hey, I have a little resistance towards making the calls, but ultimately I'll make the calls if I need to make the calls. The problem is I'm being pulled in so many directions. I'm wearing so many hats, right? That it's not a lack of desire or want to. It's more of a functional problem that I get pulled into different directions, and then suddenly, I'm not making the calls, is what I hear you saying. So my first question is there someone that can make these calls that works for you?
No, I thought we did, but we just need to retire that person. So no, I have no one to make these calls for me.
Okay. So maybe if we're hiring someone, we can replace them.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully we're trying to now solve a short-term problem, right? It's, hey, we had someone who is responsible for this. We're having to, get them out the door. Maybe it's we're making these calls, and and now we're needing to bring someone in to do it. So this is kind of like a short-term kind of problem. So what I would do is I would try to find a rhythm that you can build into your already existing routine where you could make these calls, but maybe do it in a different way. For example, maybe at the beginning of each day or at the end of each day, right, you can just print out a list of any leads that you haven't called and their phone numbers. And while you're either commuting to your office or commuting to the job, when you're in your call or when you're in your car, you're just hitting up a few people right on the list. And then maybe you're writing, one tally or one X next to their name after you've called them once, and then another tally next to the name after you've called them twice, maybe on the way home. So that's what I would encourage you to do is, hey, this is a functional problem, right? It's a real problem. Like, this is something to solve that a lot of business owners in their growth journey, this is like a phase where it comes time to, okay, we need help, making outbound calls. And so it's not going to be a problem forever. So we really need to just solve it for the short term. Short term, I would just try to find, space in your already existing schedule where, instead of listening to your favorite podcast or listening to a book or listening to your favorite album or whatever it is, right? Or maybe calling other people, maybe you're calling these people, right? But try to find something in your already existing schedule that would allow you to, that's consistent, right? So it's like, okay, I'm doing this consistently every day. I'm commuting every day, right? I'm in my car, like that's consistent. So it can kind of become a new routine. And then I would have like the numbers, the leads ready to go. So they're really easy to make those calls. And you're going to find, dude, that, you can probably do this and call everybody you need to in like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was the piece I was going to add in, is a lot of it too, like kind of referencing back a little bit what I was telling Jeff. The only time you really should be doing this frequency of calling is if somebody's missed an appointment or is just not responsive. So odds are it's going to go to voicemail on all of them. So even if you had 20 leads to work through, 30 seconds of ringing on the phone, you're not always leaving a voicemail. Do it once or twice or like, every 3 days or something. But generally, you just send them a text that says, hey, this is Fletcher with, whatever your business name is, just calling you again. That way they know it's your number. But it shouldn't take too much. But if you have that set rhythm of time, like from 9 to 9:15, I'm just making the outbound calls that I can. And then, whatever, 2 to 2:15, doing those outbound calls can bridge that gap. But I put a link in the chat as well to the utility of an office person, what we see beyond just making calls. If that's something that you're like, I don't know if I really need to hire that role again, this person's retiring and it'd be nice to have less on the payroll. It's possible, but this is an example of one of those areas of your business where you would benefit from having that role for more than just that one thing. I know Nicole's pretty passionate about that topic. So
Yeah, that office
Yeah.
person is
Thank you.
always going to be a position that's going to drive revenue. If it is not driving revenue, you either got the wrong person or you don't have the proper systems or expectations set. A lot of times I see with the office person, we bring them on and we tell them to answer the phone, and then they just sit all day and wait for the phone to ring. And there's so many other activities that office person can be doing to help you with closing ratios, generating new leads, marketing. And so very quickly, an office manager is something that I'm pushing my clients to get. A lot of times the fear there is that you just don't know how to fully optimize that position or get the most out of it. And that's what your coach is going to help you work through. I also have a lot of clients that are kind of in the stage where it's like, hey, I kind of like being the office person as the business owner. I like being the person who's like doing sales and the back end stuff. I don't want to be in the field, but I need somebody who can clean up my CMM or call these leads or delete this spam. A virtual assistant is becoming a very normal thing, and it's something that can work really, really well. And so if you just need somebody who can work 2 hours a day and call through your ghosters, update your Google local services, update your CMM, all this little stuff that matters, but anybody could do it. They just need to follow a script. Hiring a virtual assistant is a very low cost option that can really give you a very high return. And so if that's something you're interested in, you can ask your coach of how we found our virtual assistants. And then we can put together a list of duties together and scripts to get that person going. But for a couple $100 per week, you could have somebody on your team who's consistently doing those activities every day.
Thank you. I hadn't considered a virtual assistant. Definitely need one of those. I've had 2 office managers. They didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I do need a virtual assistant.
Well, it might be time, Fletcher, you try something new, or maybe, you do try the virtual assistant and then you're able to fill in all the other gaps well, or it might be, hey, you really do need an office person. It's just a matter of finding the right one. Let's not let these bad ones taint our opinion on the position. But I think exploring either option with your coach, and seeing which one's going to be the better fit.
And it's worth still emphasizing, like, that's a helpful solution, but it's always still important to make sure that the front end is covered, right? If you're not doing the due diligence of scheduling interactions and reviewing with people in real time, the default is that everyone has to be on that daily follow-up list, but that'd be too much to manage. But if you're doing the real-time review of the estimate and then any interaction has a set time when you're going to follow up again, it's just following your calendar, that'll clear up that time as well. So it's not every single lead through your pipeline. So both and.
I agree. Thanks, Bryce.
Just in case anyone is wondering, you could literally hire a virtual assistant to work for you for like 1 hour a day. Like you could literally hire them. Hey, I want you to spend 30 minutes in the morning calling these leads and 30 minutes. Like I have literally done that. I have literally hired a virtual assistant for 1 hour a day to call remodeling leads. Just twice a day, 30 minutes at the beginning of the day, 30 minutes at the end. I gave him the 5-day follow-up or the 10-day follow-up system that we have. Gave him the script, taught him the script. Took me a little bit to train him, but and it's really like the barrier to entry is not that thick, like in terms of like how much effort you have to put into finding this person and getting them queued up. So yeah, I honestly think sometimes we just need to say like if something's not working as an owner, like I don't think sometimes a move, there's certain things where it's like, no, we need to lean into this a little bit further. But there's certain things like the position you're in right now where it's like, let's be realistic about what you can and can't do. And if it's unrealistic, like if you find yourself just saying for whatever reason, right? Like you're saying, hey, I'm open to coaching on just leaning into it more. But if like realistically, that's just not working, let's just call it what it is and say, I can't do this, right? With my role as it is right now, like for whatever reason, it's just not going to happen. Let me find someone that can. I really believe in just honestly doing that rather than trying to make it work. You can make it work, right? You can do the thing we talked about, right? Print out the list, have your leads with you, have those times. You're not, it's not going to take that much time, but I really agree with what Bryce and Nicole are saying about just finding a VA. So Philip Doughton.
Hey, Robert. Question
Hey, Philip.
question on
Hey.
process.
Yeah. What's up?
I'm moving one of my PMs into a sales role, and so I can kind of step away and work on other things, and
Nice.
which is exciting. But trying to figure out, so we have an estimator on board that does most of the sales process. I'll walk the sites, kind of queue them up on the potential clients on ballparks, and then our estimator takes it from there. And there's kind of a bottleneck at past the like preliminary estimating phase. So we do the Google Meet call. Tom goes through everything, tries to schedule a time to reach back out, but then it goes radio silent. So I've been thinking about, like, in this new sales role, having, my sales guy do the walks, kind of, start curating the process a little bit, hand it off to our estimator, and then maybe shows back up after the first preliminary estimate and just like starts to really, reach out to these people back-to-back days, to make sure that they don't disappear, because we've just got this huge bottleneck in the middle of our sales process right now, where we're like, we're waiting on this person, or this person hasn't responded in 3 days, or all that. So trying to figure out the best route when we have an estimator and a sales guy kind of working together in the sales process.
Yeah. So one thing that I would put in there is, if you aren't already having a meeting between those people involved.
Yep.
In addition to whatever you have on the CRM software, that way they're informed without having to do phone calls and text messages back and forth. People get lost in the cracks with stuff like that.
Mhm.
If you don't already, same thing on the side of having an estimator hand off to a PM to start the job as well, like having that person do a handoff meeting for those new jobs that are starting.
Mhm.
But I know you said a lot there. Could you maybe summarize a more?
Where do you feel like
is
people
it
are
a part
getting
of your
stuck,
question?
Philip? Like
Yeah.
where
Yes.
exactly do you feel like the bottleneck truly is? Where are people
So
getting lost?
Yeah, so the bottleneck is, we do the Google Meet preliminary review, and then between that and actually signing a design contract or pre-construction contract, right in between that point of them deciding whether or not they want to move forward with the next step, they kind of fizzle out.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we're going over kind of the estimate, if we decide to move forward, that's when we're going to get a really detailed scope of work, give you more exact prices, we'll sign the agreement. You feel like it's after the initial estimate
Yep.
review is when
Yep.
people are getting lost.
Yep.
Are we doing that review in person or over Google Meet?
Google Meet.
Are we setting up a follow-up appointment to get that yes or no from them, answer other questions during that meeting?
We do, but I don't think it's consistent. And I guess my question is, I'm stuck between whose responsibility that is. Is that the estimators who did the preliminary review, or is that the sales guy just kind of swooping in and following up after the preliminary estimate?
So let me ask you this, Philip. Who is doing the first walkthrough to get the requirements and measurements from the customer that allows
sales guy?
Okay, so I would just make the sales guy responsible for all of those things.
Mhm.
I'd make the sales guy responsible for like moving leads throughout the process, setting up any appointment that needs to be set up, and like closing the deal. It sounds like in your current setup, the estimator's job is literally just to estimate based upon the information that he's provided.
And the only thing I'm hesitant with there is that, like, when questions do come up, like in those Google Meet calls, it's really helpful for Tom, the estimator, to be in on those calls to kind of explain his rationale and,
Yeah.
and
No,
all
no,
that
no, no.
stuff.
I agree. I think he should be there.
Okay.
I'm just specifically addressing the question of, hey, I think we're doing a follow-up after that call, but I don't think it's consistent, and I don't know for sure who should be the one setting that next follow-up.
Mhm.
So the answer is your sales guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, make him the account manager of the process, where he is responsible for guiding the customer through every stage of the sales process. Right. And the estimator is more of just a technical guy who comes in during that call to explain the estimate, answer detailed questions. Right. And that's really his only role in the sales process, is to get an accurate estimate and to review that and be available to answer questions and walk that through with the customer. The other thing I'd also ask is, how are you guys doing that proposal review call? Are you following is there like an outline or a checklist you guys are following of any kind? Is it kind of just, hey, they get on, we start talking about the estimate, or?
Yeah, it's really just our estimates are really detailed line by line. So just kind of going through it line by line, based on, kind of what the client gave us his parameters.
Nicole, don't we have a proposal review call outline?
Yeah, it's in the 10-step sales process.
Oh, cool.
So let's go ahead and get that pulled up here. I think this would be helpful for everyone to see, honestly.
Bryce, are you getting that? I see you moving. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'm also going to it. Okay, so we have an individual document on this. This is great. So here's what I'd really encourage you to do, Philip, is the first thing I'd encourage you to do is to really take time, like going through this yourself. Right. So this is like the actual outline for doing a proposal review call. Let me throw this in the chat too.
I got it.
Okay, thank you. So it's like every step, right? We have the actual step, and then we have the explanation of why we have that step. So I would really encourage you to just go through this yourself, and almost as you're going through this, audit what you know about your process right now based upon this. And you can tweak this or add stuff to it as needed, but I would audit your current. I would honestly go through this on your own, and then after you go through it, decide, if there's anything else that you would want to add in this process, or just, hey, you're asking yourself, what would I want to make sure is covered or talked about in every proposal review outline? And if it's not here, right, we're adding it. So that's what I do first. After that, I would then review this. I'd sit down to your sales guide estimator and say, hey, I want to bring a little bit more order, intentionality to these proposal review calls. I feel like we're missing more than we should on these, and things are fizzling out. We want to work to stop doing that, right? So this is the first kind of step and to prevent that from happening. Review it with a team. Go through each step individually. Don't glaze over it. Go through each step individually. Make sure it's clearly communicated that each step you're expecting the team to follow each step. Get their feedback on it. Explain each step as you need to make sure that they understand. Right. And here's actually like responses to objections of like what, like if they say like, we don't want to start on this till later, or if they say like, this is a little outside of our price range, there's actual objections that you can use. Now, these are pretty like meant to fit everybody responses to objections. So I would really encourage you to maybe add a little bit more to this, right? Like for the price objection, the angle here is basically giving people options, right? So we talked about that a lot last week, but if they're not in a position to say like, hey, here's what we could do for that price, then we need to create a response. The important thing is that you're providing responses to objections before they happen, that your team can use in those moments to overcome. So I'd go through this, edit it, tweak it, like spend some time on it, man. Like this is absolutely something worth spending. This is like a major ROI play for you. Spend some time with it.
For sure.
Set
No,
the
that's great.
expectations with the team, and then make sure your sales guy from this meeting, most of the time, people aren't going to be ready to say yes in the proposal review outline. Just have that expectation. Most of the time, they're probably not going to want to say yes then. That's okay. You
Yeah.
say, hey, think about it, take all the time you need, but I do want to just follow up with you the next 3 days. Our schedule is really full. I want to make sure we can still fit you in on your timeline that you're wanting, right? And I just want to be sure that a lot of times if we don't set a time, we're really busy. I know you're busy. It just kind of gets lost. Let's set that time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Rob,
Yeah.
I see your question in the chat, Rob. I just wanted to let you know I am copying and pasting it, and I'm putting it into the into our group chat. I want to make sure you're a part of that, Rob. I know you said you're a new client with Redmond Growth. I just know after this call ends, you probably won't be able to copy and paste it. So I want to make sure, because it's very detailed,
That's
to
good
get that
looking,
in
yeah.
there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. It's going to look like it's from me, but I'll let people know that it's from you, Rob. But if you want to get into that group chat just to get some feedback on that question, and then we can circle back to it next week as well.
Lance,
Rob-
did you have?
Sorry.
I did a,
Robert, go ahead.
I had a quick question. So do you think whenever you're kind of ending that follow-up call, do you think that's a good time then to leave them with a like your incentive or your pitch, or like, you know, something like we usually say something like, hey, you know, really the next step right now is just to pay your deposit. That way we can secure you on our schedule. Our schedule gets really full, et cetera. Like that's, if you don't get a yes right then, just go ahead and just ask for it.
Yeah. So and if you're doing that, Lance, I would mention it at the first appointment, so that people know it's just part of like an incentive in the process, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to like rush and close a deal, you know. But yes, this is the time to do it, right?
That's the reason why I ask. Sometimes I feel like I come off with like this, like, hurry up, come on, let's do it. You know, pay.
Well, so if you can mention it beforehand, right? Even if you include it in like an automated email that's being sent, like, by the way, a bonus of working with us that most companies don't offer. If you sign at the proposal meeting, or if you're ready to sign when we get to the point where we review your proposal, you get this benefit. And then a lot of times the way you actually pitch it makes a big difference too. And so if you come in just kind of relaxed, cool, almost casual about it, to say, all right, guys, any questions? No? Okay, well, hey, there is one thing I want to mention. We like to just incentivize people who are ready to commit with us. I know you've been maybe working out, checking out other bids, maybe working with other contractors, checking this project out. We really believe that we're the people for the job, and we just want to make it easier for people to get started with us if they're ready to start, which is why we offer this, 24-hour discount or whatever the thing is. And so I like the 24-hour discount because it still does the incentive and still has the kind of time-sensitive urgency, but it doesn't make that moment right there super high pressure, right? But you still get some of the benefits of wanting to do deadline and incentive. But yes, that's what I'd offer it, and I would just offer it kind of calm, cool, collected.
I think it's also valuable at the beginning of the meeting to give the outline of, hey, this is how this meeting is going to go. When you have that outline already known, hey, we're going to get measurements, talk you through this stuff. We'll let you know kind of who we are, what we're about. And if you're ready to move forward, then what we need to do at the end of this meeting is just go ahead and sign up, get you on the schedule, take deposit, and we'll be good to go. That way they have the whole time you're there with them also, like preparing mentally that that's going to be a part of it. And as you said, you have to ask for the sale at the end of the opportunity. Like, hey, next thing to do is get you on the schedule. We do get fulls, so we take a deposit, put you on the schedule, and we're on from there. And then you wait for their response. And if they need more time, cool. take what time you need. We want you to be sure of it. If you have the incentive, offer it. But otherwise, schedule that next interaction. Hey, it's Thursday. I'm going to put it in my calendar to follow up with you on Monday. Is it better in the morning or the afternoon if I hadn't heard from you already? And you keep going from there. Mr. Phillip, if you got one.
Yeah.
I got a quick one.
Yeah.
The other issue in that pipeline is like, I call it like limbo leads.
Yeah,
they're
I like
they're
that.
stuck in limbo, and it's because they need a couple months because they're going on vacation, or the kids are going back to school, or they had a death in the family, and it kind of just hangs in the middle of our pipeline for a very long time. And just like, is there any way to organize that's on our our pipeline, that we can like create like a I don't know, somewhere where we can put those where we're not forgetting about them, but we can check in on them every now and then?
Yeah, definitely. You can make a long-term follow-up, but what I'll say is this as well. We, as people, we often want complex solutions to what feel like complicated problems, but it's really the simple stuff. Like, it's sticking to the fundamentals, the foundational things. So what I just said to Lance, I would also say to you is every interaction has to end with a set time of when we're going to interact with them again. And if someone tells us, call us in 3 weeks, great, put it on your calendar, and you can put them in that long-term scheduled follow-up. There should always be a next date in the future that we're going to talk to them again if we haven't heard from them before. And if they're not responsive, then they go into that 10-day follow-up where, hey, you've missed the meeting. We're going to follow up with you for 10 days, see if we can get back in touch. Otherwise, the last message we send to them is, hey, we'd love to work with you, but we're going to put it in your court. If you want to reach back out to us, we'd be happy to rework your numbers, but we're going to count this as a dead opportunity, and we'd love to work with you if you see fit. But yeah, defaulting to those same basics every time where it's in your calendar or it doesn't exist is kind of like the mentality, like you're operating quote unquote by appointment only. But it's that simple solution that you come back to the fundamentals. They always have a time they're going to meet with you. Otherwise, they get a follow-up. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah. And I don't want to take too much time here, Philip, but in those cases, I really try to get a deposit from someone and book them on the calendar. Like what we did is we just like would take a $1,000 deposit, right? An amount that's not too high to break the bank for someone, but also is an amount that you're going to follow through on a commitment with. You know what I mean? And so the way that you can do that, if someone isn't ready to start until later, you can say, hey, I don't know what our schedule is going to look like later, but I know I want it to be available. If you have reached a point where you feel confident that we're going to be the right contractor for this job, what I'd love to do is just schedule this project whenever you get back from your vacation or whatever it is. I'd love to get this in the schedule. Would you guys want to get that in the schedule? Should we just at least schedule the project today? Yes. Okay, great. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to need a small deposit that's going to go to your fee, or is going to go to your project. That deposit reserves your spot. It ensures that no other people are going to take it, that another job isn't going to be booked over it. It also allows us to start preparing now, even before you're ready to start, or while we're waiting to start, so that we can start on a really great foot, have all the materials here on time, have everything ready to go, have all the plans made, the schedule built. It's actually advantageous if we lock this in now. Are you guys okay with making that deposit payment? And again, that's something I would have already mentioned somewhere in your process, right? That, hey, we take a deposit for $1,000 to lock your spot in the calendar. But I've done that with a number of people like a month or two in advance, and it's worked really well. So I would try to, like, even if it was $500, like, get a deposit of some kind there and still get them in the calendar. Everything that Bryce is saying, though, is right. If you're not going to do deposit, just consistent follow-up. Even if in the next follow-up they're not ready still, just set another follow-up time, right? Again, 80% of sales calls take 5 follow-up phone calls to close. Guys, come on. You know, like we're not being annoying. Oh, 2 follow-ups, that's too much. Don't let that get in the way.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Be careful of the assumptions. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap up today. It's so good to see everyone. Great discussion, great questions, great feedback. Love the honesty too. I love like the vulnerability. Hey, here's where I'm struggling. That is so meaningful. Whenever you're vulnerable, it inspires other people to be vulnerable because they're often dealing with the same challenges, but maybe they're a little hesitant, right? So thank you, Jeff, Fletcher, Lance, Phillip, everyone, Jordan, thank you guys. And as always, let's end with growth. 3, 2, 1, growth. If this is your first time on the group call, we like to end with a little bit of a bang, a boom, a bomb. We count down from 3 and then we all say growth, right? So 3, 2, 1, growth.
Growth.
There we go.